to Lighthouse Lessons. This is day 3. So we're going to be talking about rulers like kings and queens and stuff like that. Okay? Okay, let's get started. Okay, so there's like these little fun phrases that we get to learn together, okay? And it's all about Isaiah, who had multiple visions of different things, okay? So that'll make a little bit more sense later. But let's go about these phrases and I'll explain them. Okay, so the first one is King Uzziah died, God is alive. Okay? Does that seem kind of easy? King Uzziah died, God is alive. So what that means, King Uzziah was a king, and he was a king for 52 years. Isn't that crazy? Like, really crazy. 52 years? That's a long time. But King Uzziah died. He was a person, and he died. So that is pretty normal, right? No matter what kind of king it is, they eventually die. No matter how good of a king they were, no matter how famous they were, no matter who they were, they still die. But the phrase, King Uzziah died and God is alive, that means that humans die, but God never dies. He is totally eternal. He is forever and he is always alive. So that's the first one. The second one is looked heavenward, throne of the Lord. Okay? So looked heavenward means like looking up to heaven. So when he looked into heaven, he saw the throne of the Lord. And so thrones are pretty like extravagant, aren't they? Normally, for normal kings, God's throne is the best throne to have ever existed, okay? It's really big, it's really high, it's lifted up, it's nothing like you can imagine. So on to the third one, temple with robe could fill the globe, okay? That one's kind of fun to say. Temple with robe could fill the globe. So the next thing that he saw was a robe. So I guess the saying is, the longer the robe, the more important the king. So according to Isaiah, God's robe filled the whole temple. So imagine, whatever room you're sitting in right now, whatever house or building that you're sitting in, the whole thing being filled up with a robe. Filled, all the way up to the ceiling. That's how big God's robe is. Pretty crazy, huh? So that was the third phrase. Temple with robe could fill the globe. Okay, now let's move on to the fourth one. Seraphim fly covered their eyes. Seraphim fly covered their eyes. So you might be asking yourself, what the heck is a seraphim? Well, it's another word for angels. So it would be talking about an angel. So angels fly covered their eyes. But the word seraphim is only mentioned from Isaiah's visions, which is pretty cool when you think about it. That's the only time that word is mentioned. So a seraphim is a different kind of angel, and it's the only time that this was mentioned in the Bible, those type of angels. So no one really knows what they look like except for Isaiah, who saw them in the vision. So the fifth one is holy was heard, super important word. So Isaiah has been seeing some pretty crazy things, but they're also amazing and beautiful. But this one, he's gonna hear something, okay? So holy was heard, super important word. So holy is a really important word. So holy, 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 okay? You hear that a lot? What do you think that word means? What do you think holy means? It means to be set apart, and God is set apart. He's not like anyone else. He's pure and he's perfect, never doing or thinking anything wrong. There's not one bad thing in God. It's impossible for him to think even one bad thought ever. He's all things good and perfect, and he's the source of every single good thing ever. Every good thing you've ever experienced, every mouthful of food, every night's sleep in a warm bed, every person who loves you is from God. So the sixth one, so tell your story about God's glory. So this is more of what Isaiah heard. And so first he heard the word holy, and so now here's another one, glory. So the glory of God shows how great and almighty he is. The whole earth shouts the greatness and fame of God. That doesn't mean it's actually shouting out, but that God's amazingness is on display. The waterfalls show us his powerful glory. The sunrise shows us his beautiful glory. And the singing birds in the trees shows us his creative glory. This says the whole earth is full of his glory. This means every single thing God has created shows us how amazing God is in some way. For example, have you ever looked up in the sky at night and been amazed at all of the stars? Or have you ever stood by the ocean, so huge and beautiful? The ocean shows God's glory, or marveled at an animal at a zoo, or watched a snowflake fall, or thought about how amazing it is that Jesus came to earth. All of these are so many more things to cry out and show God's glory. Even you were created to bring God's glory. In fact, that's the whole point of why you're alive. He made you to bring him glory and enjoy him forever. Isn't that awesome? That's awesome. So our treasured verse for today, or our memory verse, go ahead and get your little rolled up piece of paper. It should be day 3. So today's verse, and one called to another and said, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." That's like Isaiah 6, verse 3. And one called to another and said, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." Now go ahead and color it in and hang it up, or leave it in your box, or whatever you want to do, okay? We hope this week is going great for you. We hope that these lessons, you're learning a little bit more about God. We hope that you're enjoying the crafts and all of the other fun things that you have in your box. I'm hearing something about these pirates. What are they up to? Do you know? I don't know. I just know that the greatest treasure you can find is the Bible and God, and I think that's the greatest treasure, don't you? I think that's it for our lesson today. I'm so glad to be here with you, and I can't wait for tomorrow's lesson. Okay? See you guys.